So you've just got your new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. First of all, congratulations. Today I'm going to take you through the first 25 things that you should do to help you get the most out of this phone and One UI7. Now these tips and tricks are going to help you unlock hidden new features, preserve battery health, extend battery life, and ultimately maximize your S25 Ultra's performance. Alright, so to start, the S25 Ultra is of course an expensive purchase and you want it to last, more specifically your battery health. So now we're going to be taking a look at extending your battery health on the S25 Ultra. So to do this, first we're going to turn on a setting called battery health protection. Now to do this, we're going to jump into settings and then scroll all the way down here to where we find device care, right over here. And then we're going to tap onto battery. And then here you want to turn on battery protection. So you want to make sure that this is turned on. And then we can also tap onto battery protection to get more options. Now, let me quickly run you through what these options are, more specifically the last two, as these are the ones that are going to be most impactful and I think most important. So first of all is adaptive charging. Now, what adaptive charging is going to do is it's kind of going to keep track of your typical charging habits. So let's say you charge your phone, plug it in at 10 p.m. at night when you go to sleep. It's then going to charge from 10 p.m. It's going to charge from 0 up to 80%. However, then wait with the remaining 20% till closer to when you typically wake up and unplug your phone, let's say at 7 p.m. This is going to stagger the charge and actually produce less heat and therefore decrease the wear on your battery. Now, secondly, you also have the maximum battery protection option, and this is going to actually set a hard limit to how much your phone can charge. Now, lithium-ion batteries, such as ones in the S25 series phones, are best when they charge up to around 80 to 90%. That's when they perform at their best, as opposed to charging them all the way up to 100% capacity. So this is going to allow you to set a maximum charge limit for your battery. Now, of course, with this, you do sacrifice some of your battery capacity. Personally, this is not worth it for me. I like the adaptive feature as it gives you the best of both worlds. It still gives you definitely some battery protection while not sacrificing any of your battery capacity. So I think adaptive is going to be the best one for most. Another factor that will have a big impact on your battery health is going to be the best way, or basically how you charge your phone. So the best way to charge your phone is actually going to be with a wired connection and using a lower watt charger, something like 10 watts, maybe even 5 watts, as opposed to those higher watt, faster chargers. As the faster you charge your phone, the more heat it's going to produce. So if, say, you use a 50-watt charger, yes, your phone will charge very fast, and there are certain instances in which that is useful, of course, say while you're traveling, but for regular day-to-day use, especially at night when your phone doesn't need to charge fast, it's good to use a lower watt charger and a wired connection, as it's going to dramatically decrease the amount of heat that's going to be produced and therefore reduce the wear on your phone. Also, when it comes to wireless charging, I like to use wireless charging throughout the day if I need a quick top up, but don't use it at night, again for the same reason as wireless charging. As you may feel when you use your phone, definitely uses more heat. Your phone may feel more warm to the touch as a lot of energy is also lost. So it is best to use a wired connection and a lower watt charger to preserve your battery health for as long as possible. And this brings us to the lock screen, as now with One UI7, we have some new customization features here for the lock screen that I want to take you through. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into settings, and then here we're going to scroll down to where we find wallpaper and style, and then we're going to tap onto the lock screen. And then here we can now customize this much further. So one of the cool features is if we tap on the clocks, you'll see that we now, if we go into style, so as you can see here, if we swipe all the way to the right, we have some new animated clock faces. I like this last one here. I think it looks really neat. And of course, we can also make it larger, much larger here than before. And beneath that is also where we can add, of course, widgets. So right now I've just got a couple of weather widgets. Those are really useful to show you the percentage chance of rain, which in London is a must-have. And then of course, the temperature as well, which is useful before going out. Now, one of the new widgets that Samsung has added here on the S25 Ultra is we now have the option to add a gallery widget, which is pretty cool, as that's going to allow you to add a photo and show that here on your lock screen. Let me quickly show you what that looks like. And there we go. As you can see, I now have a photo here on my lock screen. Really nice way to have, of course, a photo as your wallpaper, but an additional little photo here within the widget. I think that is quite neat. And then also importantly here is we can now change the home controls as well. So let's say here on the left, you can choose individually what you'd like. So previously you could only have apps, but now you have also a whole series of different actions. So you can set things like your torch, your flight mode, or battery saving mode very easily from the lock screen. So I've personally, I have the calculator here, and then I have the camera over on the right side, allowing you to have two quick controls on your lock screen. Oh, and lastly, you can now also reposition your clock. As you can see here, I can go ahead and drag this anywhere around my lock screen, which is great, or basically anywhere among the top half here of the lock screen. So super cool if, say, you want to align this with the picture that you have as your background here. I really like this clock in particular. Make it a little bit larger, and there we go. That looks good. And once we're happy, we're gonna go ahead and tap done, and that will then save. Looking good. All right, now I want to take you over to the lock screen more specifically. Let's take a look at some new widget designs and styles that we get with One UI7. So first of all, to add a widget, of course, we can simply pinch out here on the lock screen. Let's tap onto widgets here, and let's go ahead and add one. Let's do the weather. Why not? We'll go ahead and add the weather here over onto my second page. Now, what we can do is we can actually resize the widget on the fly. As you can see, we can now make it a lot smaller. Previously, the weather widget couldn't be this small. We can also make it bigger if we like. And what is cool is we can do this right with this existing widget. We don't have to add and remove new widgets every time, making it much easier to customize. So let's say I have this weather widget here. What is also neat is if I tap and hold that, I can go into settings and I can actually change the shape of the widget as well. So you can see here, if we look at the corners, the shape of the widget is going to adjust. Again, a nice little way to create a sort of custom design behind it here. You can also choose to add or remove the background. And this, I think, is a really neat little touch here, allowing you to customize your widget and your home screen even more. And one last new widget that I want to show you is a new calendar widget, which is really neat. You can see here, we have a whole new series of calendar widgets to choose from, including the countdown widget. This one I think is really fun. So let's add this in here. There we go. We can start a new countdown. And let's say what do we want that to count down from or to? Let's say add a new event, and we can go ahead and scroll down to Halloween. Let's say we want that left. Here we go. We still got a little bit of time to go, but there it is. We now have a countdown to Halloween. There we go, to 229 days. Pretty cool that we can add this here. And of course, we can also change the background. So we can also have a custom image. Let's say I want to add some spooky late night photo. We can go ahead and do that. And there we go, much more appropriate. There's a Halloween countdown right on your home screen. And now I want to show you a new feature, and that is called the Now bar. And that's this little bar that you see here at the bottom of your display. And as you can see, I can cycle through different activities similarly to the dynamic island on the iPhone, if you've ever seen that. But I actually think this is an upgrade because of the placement, as it's at the bottom of the screen. So when you have your phone in your hand, it's just much more accessible and easier to interact with. And you can see that I can swipe between different live activities and get a glance of the info. So here I have my timer set, I have my voice recording, and of course I can tap into that as well to expand. So I can pause this recording, I can go ahead and continue it, cancel it from there as well. And the same here, of course, goes for the timer, as well as other things like, say, workouts that you may have, or even things like your delivery apps, like food delivery apps as well, to see this information at a glance right on your lock screen. So super useful, and that is the Now bar. Speaking of new features with One UI7, the next here is the upgraded quick settings panel. So as you can see, if I swipe down from the top right here, no longer are your quick settings and notifications grouped. They are now completely separate. So if I swipe down from the right, that will bring you your new quick settings panel, and then swiping down from the center or say the left side of the screen, you will see all of your notifications. So I think it's really nice to have these two separated. Makes it less cluttered and adds more definition, I suppose, to which side of the screen you swipe from. Now, what I also like about this quick settings panel is that it is highly customizable. So I can go ahead and tap on the edit button here on the top, and as you can see, I can go ahead and regroup entire panels here to what I like. So let's say I want my brightness a little higher, I can do that. I can move it back down as well. And this here is your group toggles, which is going to be a very important section. I can go and edit that and add or remove as many toggles as I like. And of course, like before, you can still rearrange them. I suggest having your most frequently used ones here along the top for easy access. And what is also cool is we can also change the size here of this tab, because of course this here you can make it much smaller to only show your most used top 4 ones, and you can make it larger as well. So I like to have, say, just the top 8, and then I can tap on this little bar on the bottom here to expand it to show you all of your toggle. So that is the upgraded quick toggle settings. And what I really like is how customizable this is. I think that is something that Samsung always shines in, and I really like to see this on the S25 Ultra. Using the S25 Ultra, as you can see, we have quite a lot of new refresh design for the icons, especially here on Samsung's apps. And I really like these, like, for example, your settings, your gallery icons. I think it gives a much more cohesive look. And what is also cool is you can now actually change the size of your app icons here. So to do this, we're going to pinch out on the home screen.
tap onto settings, and then here, as you can see, we're able to change the app size. We can make it smaller, we can make it larger. So here it is smaller at the moment. You can see we got smaller icons, and we can make it a lot larger. Let me quickly show you what that looks like as well. We can make it much larger. Boom, there we go, much larger and more accessible, perhaps easier to reach. And what is also neat is we can actually turn on or off the labels as well. So as you can see, currently I have labels for the widgets on. So there's my weather widget right there, and the Google search one. Go ahead and turn that off as well. And the same goes for apps. So if you want an even more clean look, there we go. We completely get rid of the icons now. In the app drawer, they're still there, but this here removes the text. And as you can see, gives you a much cleaner overall look. I actually kind of like this. I think it looks really nice, minimalistic almost. And of course, the icons are so recognizable. So I think this is a cool feature. Folders are now also more customizable. So if I bring this over to the other page here, what I can do is tap and hold on this folder and I can enlarge it. And as you can see, this folder will now take up more space on the home screen, but it will allow me to access an app within it with one tap. So I don't have to first expand that folder to access an application. And this I think is a really nice way to have even more applications stored on your home screen. So again, just tap and hold on your folder and then you can enlarge or shrink it with one tap. I also appreciate that the search bar in the app drawer is now on the bottom of the display, making it much easier to reach naturally with your thumb as opposed to the top of the screen where it was previously. This next one is really cool and especially useful if you're like me and you often find yourself tweaking settings and things on your phone, but do you ever have a setting that you're looking for but you just don't remember the specific name of it? Well, now with search, this is greatly improved as we now have Galaxy AI incorporated in settings search. So let me use an example here. Let's say show clock when phone is locked. There we go. So I type in that phrase and automatically it's going to pull up lock screen and always on display, allowing me to customize the always on display here right on the fly. So it's really great to see that Samsung have enabled this, making it so much easier to quickly find your setting, even if you don't know the specific name of a setting. So you can use much more natural language when searching within the settings app. And of course, with this being the S25 Ultra, we get the wonderful S Pen. Now, unfortunately, this year, Samsung have removed some of the functionality by removing the Bluetooth functionality from the S Pen. However, some of my favorite S Pen features are still available. So if you have a new Galaxy S25 Ultra and you're not sure what to do with the S Pen, let me show you my top 3 use cases for the S Pen. And the first here is the ability to instantly and quickly take notes right on your lock screen. So simply want to take out the S Pen, and as you can see here, we can instantly start a sketch. We can draw a list. Let's say you have a grocery list, quickly write that down, and you can tick off items here as you go. So super useful if you want to quickly sketch an idea. Again, erasing here too is really intuitive and quick, and all your notes here will be stored in the Samsung Notes app. Speaking of Samsung Notes, this is another area where I love to use the S Pen. So let's launch the Notes app here. And of course, you can start drawing and writing as you will. However, one of the other cool things you can do is to draw shapes more neatly. You can draw a shape and then press and hold. And as you can see, it's then going to create a more perfect version of that shape. So there's a triangle, for example. You can even do things like an arrow. There we go, as you can see, or in this case, a line. It gives you a much neater outline here than you otherwise would have. So this is great to draw, say, a little bit more extensive. If you want to draw some charts or maybe a graph, great to have this feature. What's also cool is you can also write, rather, where you would normally type. So let's say here on the title, I can go ahead and type, but I can also, let's say here, I want to name this note. There we go. And as you can see, even with my horrible handwriting through the camera, it has managed to pick out the word note and written it there. So it's kind of cool that you can also draw in your text fields and essentially write as opposed to typing. Now, the last of the 3 use cases that I really enjoy, particularly here with the S Pen, is going to be in the calendar, where what I really like is you have the ability to draw right on your calendar. So I can tap on this little pen icon here on the top, and then I can just zoom into my calendar and I can quickly write down an event. So let's say I have a 2 p.m. meeting with Jack. There we go. Quickly write that in my calendar, and then later, once I have more time, I can create a proper event. But if I want to quickly note something down in the calendar, the S Pen, I think, is a great use for that. So anyway, those are the top 3 use cases for the S Pen that I found myself using the most. And this brings me to multitasking. Now, of course, a phone as big and powerful as the S25 Ultra is a multitasking king. However, multitasking is not available on all applications by default, and this split screen mode that you see here doesn't work with every app, and there is a setting that we have to change to enable it for every application. So to do this, we're going to jump into settings, and then we're going to scroll down to where we find advanced features. There it is. And then from here, we're going to turn into labs. And then here we have multi-view for all apps. And you want to make sure that this here is turned on, as this is going to allow you to have the split screen mode for all applications, games, whatever it may be, to make sure that this works all the time. On the subject of multitasking, let me show you a couple of quick tips here while you're running two apps at once here. So first of all, you have this little three-dot menu here in the center. Of course, you can tap and hold it to resize different windows. So if you want a larger window on the bottom as opposed to the top, you can do that, or vice versa. You can also tap on the three-dot menu, and if you tap on the little arrows, that's going to swap the two applications to quickly rotate and switch between them. And what is really cool, probably my favorite feature, is we tap once again, we also have this little star, and it's going to allow you to essentially pin an app pair and save it for the future. So we can put it into the edge panel as well as onto the home screen. So if I tap on the home screen here, you'll see that we now have a new icon. There we go, made up of YouTube as well as Google Chrome. And every time we tap onto that, we're going to jump into both apps here at once in the same order where we had them saved. So super useful. You see, I always have this here saved on my lock screen. I got another one here. Very handy way of saving an app pair to your home screen. Now I want to show you how to lock an application on your S25 Ultra, and this here is a great security and privacy setting to enable. Let's say you have this open here. Let's say you got some a paragraph or an article written here in your Notes app, and you want to show it to someone, and you want to hand your phone off to that person, but you don't necessarily want them to be able to close that application and go through your other applications. Just want them to look only at this one app. Well, there is a way to pin it and make sure that only this one app can be accessed. However, there's first a setting that we need to enable. So to do this, we are going to jump into the settings app here, and then over on the main page of settings, we're going to find security and privacy. There it is right there. And then we're going to tap onto more security settings here at the sort of the mid half of the page here. And then here, you want to turn on allow apps to be pinned. Now this by default is off, and you want to make sure that this is turned on. Now let me show you how to pin an application. So to pin or lock an application, what you want to do is open up any application. So here I've got the Samsung Notes app. Then you want to open up the task or the app switcher menu. And then from here, you want to tap on the app icon and then tap pin this app. Now, as you can see, this application is now going to be pinned. I'm not going to be able to swipe home, not even going to be able to access your system toggles or your notifications. And the only way to unpin this application, what you want to do is swipe up and then hold, and then you're going to be asked to type in your password or your fingerprint to unlock your phone. And now the app has been unpinned. So again, a great safety, or rather security and privacy feature when you're handing off your phone to friends or even a stranger or something, and you only want them to stay within a specific app. And this next one is super useful, and that is the option to have an app always stay open. Now, let's say, for example, you're browsing the web and you're filling out an online form, and then you need to quickly close the application, pull up another application to, say, find some details. But then when you go back to the form that you were just entering, the page has refreshed, and now you've lost all of your progress. Now, thankfully, there is a way to keep an app always open, even if you're not using it and it is in the background. And to do this, we're going to open up the app switcher just like before. And in this case, tap on the app icon, and here it is, keep open. And as you can see, we now have this little lock by that application, meaning this application will always remain open no matter what else I'm doing in my phone. This app is not going to close and not refresh. Super useful, again, especially when you're filling out forms online and you don't want to lose progress, or say you're running a really important app and you don't want it to close. Now, to undo this, you simply want to tap on the little lock. As you can see, that app is now no longer going to be kept open. Now I want to show you a super useful Galaxy AI feature called Circle to Search. Now, first of all, you want to make sure that this feature is enabled. So to do this, what we are going to do is we're going to jump into settings, and then we're going to go into display here. So scroll down to where we find display, and then we're going to scroll down to where we find the navigation bar. There it is. Tap on navigation bar, and then you want to make sure that Circle to Search is turned on. Now, if I go back to my Photos app, or basically any application, and what you want to do is tap and hold on the navigation bar, and then you can circle pretty much anything you have on screen, whether it be a photo, a video, anything you have online. And this is going to then automatically do a Google search for what it is that you circle. So this is a great way to quickly find something online, research something, whether it be a product or say even an article of clothing or an ingredient for a cookbook or whatever it may be. You can quickly circle pretty much anything. You see, even here on the home screen, it works. If I don't know an application, I can simply circle it, and then there we go, boom. This is WhatsApp. Great to know. And I want to quickly demo the new smart assistant that the S25 series get on One UI7, and that is essentially this. This is going to be a Bixby/Google Assistant hybrid, which is now significantly smarter as it also now works across different apps. So let me quickly show you what I mean. When is the next Pitbull concert in London, and add it to my calendar. Give it a second here. And
Okay,
here it
you've
is.
got a new event set for tomorrow, June 9th, at 6:30 p.m. called Pitbull Party After Dark.
Great. First of all, I really like the voice. I think it's much more natural than before. And what I think is especially impressive here, first of all, it did two things. First, it Googled when the next Pitbull concert was. It identified that, and then also created an event in my calendar with the time, date, and location of that concert. So working across multiple different applications. This here is actually going to be faster than having to look this up yourself and put it in your calendar. And as a result, I found myself using this smart assistant more on the S25 Ultra. I think that Samsung have done really well here, incorporating much more intelligence through, of course, Google Assistant as well, and that usability, which I think really opens up more options for the smart assistant. And to activate it, it's just a simple press and hold on the side of the phone. Next, I want to show you the much improved generative fill editor on the S25 series. This here is a really good example. I think it is better not only than what Samsung had before on the S24, but it's also better than much of the competition, including Apple's iPhone. This really is leaps ahead. So let me show you how this works. What you want to do is pull up any picture. We're going to tap on the Galaxy AI button, and you want to simply circle anything on the photo that you want to remove very roughly, because you have done a very rough job here. And we can go ahead and tap on erase. Take this part here, there we go. Tap on erase and give it a second here. And then we tap on generate. And there we go, like it was never there. There you go, here's the original and there's the new. So it's also kind of repositioned my fingers, but it's done a pretty great job. And honestly, it's a lot better than the competition and looks pretty natural, almost as if the bottle of perfume was never there. So I really encourage you to try out the new generative fill editor on the S25. It is much better than before and really allows you to customize your photos very quickly on the go. Right, from a software feature, let's go to a hardware feature. More specifically, the side button on the S25 Ultra, which can be heavily customized. And as you can see, I've actually set mine to trigger the torch. Very handy to quickly have this, to quickly pull out the phone out of my pocket and instantly have a torch if I need to look for my keys or something. So to customize this, what we are going to do is we are going to go into settings. And then we can actually go ahead and search for side button. And there it is under advanced features. And then in here, we can also enable or disable a double press in case we don't want that at all. And then we can tap onto that to customize what we want that double press to do. So we can actually have it launch a specific application, as you can see, or a specific task. I believe by default, it's going to be the camera, but I've changed it here to the torch, and we can simply tap to change that. Now, also, we can also change what a long press does. We can have this pull up the new digital assistant, that Bixby/Google Assistant hybrid, or of course, turn off your phone as well. I really like this new assistant, so I have mine set to that new assistant. Larger phones like the S25 Ultra can be a little bit tricky to use with one hand, and this is where one-handed mode comes in super useful. As you can see, with one swipe, I've just minimized the screen, making it so much easier to operate and to, for example, reach the other end of the keyboard or say the top corners of the display right from the little corner here in the one-handed mode. So let me quickly show you how to activate this, as you do first have to activate this feature in a setting. So to do this, we're going to jump into settings, and then we're going to scroll down to where we find advanced features right here. And then in this menu, we're going to turn on one-handed mode. Now, the gesture to activate one-handed mode is essentially going to be a small swipe down at the bottom of the screen. So you may take a little bit of practice. There we go. And as you can see, it's then essentially going to shrink the display by around 50% or so. And we can also reposition it, and we can even move it up if we like as well. Now, I like to have this here along the left side of my screen, as I am left-handed, and that makes it easier for me to reach from the left side. And then to re-expand your display once again, you want to simply repeat the same gesture. So a small swipe down, and there we go. The screen will now enlarge again. So one-handed mode, super useful feature. This also works, by the way, on other S25 series phones, not just on the Ultra, but it is, of course, most useful on the Ultra. And now let's talk about the always on display. There's definitely some settings that I want to show you to make it even better. So first we're going to jump into the settings app here, and then on the main page, we're going to scroll to where we find lock screen and always on display. And then first you want to turn on the always on display. Now you can tap into it and we can actually customize this further. So first of all, we are able to decide whether we want the wallpaper shown or not. So of course, not having the wallpaper makes it much more subtle. I think this is actually best for most cases because your screen won't perhaps be as distracting, and because most of the screen here will be off, it's also going to save you some battery. But if you like to, you can have a dim version of your wallpaper. The same thing goes for the now bar. You can choose to hide or show that. I like to have that on. A really useful feature here is when to show. Here you can determine when you want your always on display to show. Now I recommend using auto as auto means that your always on display will always be on. However, it will automatically turn off when it detects that your phone is in your pocket or purse, or even at night, say in a dark room, so it won't keep you up at night. And this, I think, here is the best of all worlds. However, you also have the option to turn it on to tap to show, which I guess wouldn't really make it an always on display. And the same thing, also set it for scheduled as well as always. But again, I think auto here is a really smart, intelligent feature for the best use case for your always on display. And now let me talk about improving the sound and vibrations on your S25 Ultra. So to do this, we're going to go into settings, and then we're going to scroll down to sound and vibration. And then here, first of all, we can go ahead and change the vibration intensity. So you can also customize this specific to what kind of notification comes in, whether that be a call or a system notification or media. So my advice would be actually to turn down system and media. That way you can differentiate and kind of define whether you can almost tell from your pocket already what comes in, whether it's a notification or a call. So this is something I think is quite useful to adjust as well. And then here I also want to go into sound quality and effects, and you want to enable Dolby Atmos, as this is going to give you much better quality audio, particularly over headphones. I don't know why this isn't on by default, but you definitely want to make sure to turn this on to get a much broader EQ, more frequencies, and more dynamic range in general when it comes to the sound quality. So definitely something I suggest you turn on. And then for those that want it, just beneath that, we do have the option to create and set a custom EQ. You can see there's a bunch of presets, so depending on what you listen to, you may want to change it. And of course, you can also customize it by moving the individual frequencies themselves. So this is where you would adjust your EQ. Now, one of the best features of the S25 Ultra is, of course, this gorgeous display. But of course, there are ways to optimize it and make it even better through settings, and that's what I want to show you here. So let's jump into settings, and we're going to scroll down to where we find display. And first of all, here right at the top, of course, we can cycle between light and dark mode. Now, personally, I like to use light mode during the day and then dark mode at night. And if we go ahead and tap into dark mode settings, we can actually adjust this to a schedule. So you can have this turn on, say, only at night, or you can have it in accordance with the position of the sun. So useful feature there. Beneath that, we have the brightness toggle, and also we have the ability to turn on or off adaptive brightness. Now, because I'm recording, I have this off, but normally speaking, I always recommend you turn this on. I think auto brightness does a great job at making the display bright when you're out in the sun, and then keeping it dim when you are, say, using your phone late at night. And beneath that, we have Eye Comfort Shield. Now, if I turn this on, you'll see that the display almost gets a little bit warmer, a little bit of an orange hue to it. Now, what this is going to do is it's actually going to remove some of the blue light from the screen, and it's also going to adjust the temperature of the display to the lights around me. So right now, I've got daytime lights shine down in the studio, and you can see it's made the screen just a little bit warmer, nicer to look at. This is something I normally use. The only time when I turn this off is when I am, say, editing photos or videos, which are times when I wouldn't want my screen colors to change. I'd want them to be as accurate as possible. But normally speaking, I like this feature quite a lot. And then scrolling down, we have the screen mode. Now, this is essentially going to alter the color profile of your display, whether you want it to be more natural or you want it to be more vivid. And you can see here, we have a couple of examples. And when you look at the colors, you'll see that with natural, they're a little bit more toned down, and vivid, they pop a little bit more. Now, I like it to pop a bit more, especially when you're consuming media. I think that really looks great. Now, another feature here is we have the screen resolution. Now, this is unique to the S25 Ultra, and we do have the option here to change it to QHD+, and that's going to give you the best resolution. You can see 3120 by 1440. Now, this will take up more battery life, of course, but it's also going to give you the best quality that this display can output. I say you've paid for this wonderful display, get the most of it, and increase the resolution to the maximum setting. And another, I think, underrated feature here is going to be the edge panel. Now, this is this little panel you'll see here on the edge of my display. And if I pull this in, you can see we get a broad range here of applications and system functions right there on the go. So I've got mine here along the left side. So with my thumb, I can quickly bring it in. And this is something I highly recommend. So first of all, to activate this, you want to turn it on. And then we can tap into that menu to also customize it. So first of all, we can change the different type of panels. You'll see that we even have things like your reminders, weather information, or even contacts. I like to have mine set to applications, and you want to choose that. And then here you can also customize the actual handle itself. So we can move it up, we can move it down, we can even change the color, the opacity, change the position. I think if you're right-handed, you'd want it more on the right side of your phone. So really useful feature to have here. And that's the edge panel. Again, I think it's really underrated. See, even within another application, I can quickly pull it up and then customize it, even tap here to expand it fully and see what applications for easy access within the edge panel. And of course, if we tap on the little edit menu, we can go ahead and adjust and add and remove. So let's say if I want to remove internet, add Chrome, there we go. That's now been updated. And there it is. There's Chrome. All right, and this next one here is truly essential, and that is the navigation bar. Now, by default, you will have the buttons. These, of course, are very familiar. If you are an OG Android user, I suppose, the back and the home button here. This works, of course it works well, but at the same time, it does take up screen space, and that's something I don't really like. Plus, there are some unique shortcuts that are going to be specific to the swipe gestures that I want to show you. Because first of all, watch this. As you can see, it clears up a lot more screen space, right? It takes up very little space. And what I really like is you can actually swipe between applications by simply swiping left and right. And as you can see, it's then going to swipe between your recent applications. Super easy way to quickly switch between apps, and something I really enjoy using. And again, this is going to be unique to the swipe gestures version of the navigation bar. So I definitely suggest you switch over to swipe gestures. All right, so earlier in the video, we looked at battery health saving tips. Now I want to show you some battery saving tips, more specifically one to do with notifications, and that's actually going to be the most important one, as the more notifications you have coming in throughout the day, the more battery it's going to take. And of course, every time a notification comes in, right, your phone vibrates, your speaker goes off, and your screen lights up, and that's really going to add up if you have dozens, if not 100 plus notifications coming in each day. So what we're going to do is essentially audit your notifications. So to do this, we're going to go into settings and then scroll down to where we find notifications right here. And then we tap on app notifications. And then here we're going to see a full list of all the applications that want to send you notifications, and you can individually turn them on or off. And as you can see, I've turned it off for quite a few applications, probably too many that are still on, but you'll see that maybe half or so of my apps have been turned off. That's because so many apps want to send you notifications, but a better question is which apps actually need to send you notifications, and many of them I turn off. Many like utility applications, right? Games, things like this, they don't need to bother me throughout the day. Instead, I only want to be reminded of important things like, say, finance-related applications, messaging apps, maybe certain productivity apps, right? This way, when my phone goes off, I know it's something important, which is, of course, useful for my mental health, as I'm not going to be distracted as often. And again, it also saves you a lot of battery because your phone is just going to be going off less. So I definitely recommend you audit the number of notifications that you allow to your phone. And now I want to take you through some essential security settings to change. So first of all, we're going to turn on a feature called app protection. So to do this, we're going to jump into settings, scroll all the way to the bottom, right down to where we find device care. And then we're going to tap onto app protection. There it is. So you want to make sure you tap into that and then turn this feature on. Now, this is actually going to be off by default for some reason, but essentially what this is going to do is check for malware through all of your applications. Now, this is the kind of thing that you hope to never need, but it is very useful to have. It will actually automatically do a scan every once in a while. And you can also do a manual scan here. As you can see here, thankfully nothing was found, and it's going to scan through all of your phone. This may take a little while, by the way. It's going to scan through every application you have on your phone. This, I think, is a great thing to have just to ease your mind a little bit, but especially if you do download applications from outside the Google Play Store, if you're sideloading applications, it's just great to know that there is going to be some form of malware / virus protection running in the background, keeping your phone secure. The next security settings I want to talk about have to do with the lock screen. So in settings here, we are going to scroll down to where we find lock screen and always on display. And then here we can go ahead and choose a couple of options. So first, let's take a look at the screen lock and biometrics. We go ahead and type in our PIN. So here we can go ahead and choose what type of biometrics / codes we want to access our phone. So first of all, a PIN, that's what I would definitely recommend. That's going to be much more secure than the other options, including a pattern. I think a PIN is much more secure. And in terms of the biometrics, I think the fingerprint scanner, the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner on the S25 Ultra is excellent, very secure as well. The facial recognition, however, is not. This is nowhere near as comprehensive or secure as something like Face ID, which does like a 3D matrix dot pattern on your face. This here is much more simple than that, so I don't recommend using the face recognition on your Galaxy. Instead, use the excellent fingerprint scanner that you have on this phone, and also set up multiple fingers. So for example, both thumbs and both index fingers. So regardless of how you're handling your phone or holding your phone, it's going to be easier to unlock. And now to make sure your phone is running well and healthy and has no viruses, malware, or anything like that, it is really important to run a full device checkup every once in a while, maybe when your phone is new, or especially if you're buying a phone used, to make sure that every component of your phone is operating as it should. And Samsung have a really useful app for this, and that is within the Members app. So what you want to do is pull up your app drawer, and then we're going to search for Members. Now this will come pre-installed on your S25 Ultra. Go ahead and tap onto the application here. And then we're going to tap onto support. And then from here, we're going to go on to get started for the phone diagnostics. And as you can see, it's then going to one by one go through everything, every component of the phone, both physical as well as software. So from your camera, from your microphones, your speakers, everything like that, and check them to make sure everything is operating. And if there's something wrong, it will flag that and you can take it to repair or be aware of it. So that's really important. Now, if I go ahead and go back here, let me just stop this test here, give you a quick preview of everything that this does. So you can also pick a specific part that you may like. So let's say the battery status, go ahead and test that again, check it, and then there you go. It's going to give you the battery life, battery health as well. And you can see we can go through every single component pretty much of the phone, even things like your USB connection, and you have to actually connect it. So some of these steps are going to require a bit of work from your side, but this is really important to do, especially if you're buying a phone used, and then to make sure that everything is running as it should. And then if it's not, you'll be aware and it will show you.
And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions at all. And as always, I will leave the purchase links down in the description. And if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you check out my S25 Ultra review video, which I'll leave linked on screen right now. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.